Hello everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Amanda Ostrander. I'm a teacher-turned-homeschool mom, and this is Raising A to Z, a place where we talk about all things homeschooling. And today, I'm going to bring you along as I plan out next year's homeschooling. So this is the final part of our month of May planning series. Over the past month, I've gone over what curriculum I'll be using with my third grader next year, what curriculum I'll be doing with my fifth grader next year. And I've also gone over what topics and like unit studies and novel studies we'll be doing next year. You can find all of those. I will put links for them down below. But it is time to do our final planning video of this series, which is when I sit down with you and plan out all of 2025-2026. Okay? And I understand for some people, this is a little bit extra. This is a little bit too much to think of planning out a whole school year. And if that's not for you, by all means, I have lots of friends who homeschool just fine. And they kind of just go month by month, every couple of weeks, checking in, changing things up. Like they just kind of flow with it. And if that's your personality, you do you. If you haven't noticed, that's not my personality. And so we're going to plan next year and we're going to do it now because it just means that I am ready. I'm prepared. I can just kind of turn my brain off over the summer and enjoy our short but beautiful summer season here up in Northern Ontario. And so I like to have my plan, and I like to do it a little bit early in the year so that when August rolls around and we are kind of like getting ready to start a new year, because even though we homeschool all year round, I do consider September like the start of a new school year. So when that time rolls around at the end of August or beginning of September, I'm ready. I just kind of pull out my books and I'm good to go. So come and plan with me and we'll see what is happening in 2025-2026. Before we get into this, I'm going to show you exactly what planner I'm using because I have had so many questions about our homeschool planner. Are we bringing it back? Is it going to be available again? The answer is yes, it is back. And I am so excited to say that it is finally available. So a few things that we've done differently this year with the homeschool planners, just to give you guys a little heads up before we get into the actual planning. There are only 3 covers available this year. From the research that we did and what we sold last year, you guys pretty much only picked 2 or 3 covers. So scaled it back, especially with me doing so much work on True North history. Went for a little bit more simplicity in terms of the number of covers. So I hope you guys like them because yeah, there's only 3 this year, and I hope that's okay. The other thing that you'll find is physical planners are still going to be available on Raising A to Z. They come as a beautiful bound book. They're fulfilled through Amazon. Amazon prints and ships them right to your house. If you want them physically printed and bound for you, they are going to be available on Amazon. You can buy them from the links down below, or you can find them on the Raising A to Z website. If you want to buy the PDF, which I do have the dated and undated version. So there's dated where it's like literally every week is accounted for, every day is accounted for. It has every single month and like monthly spreads. If that's what you want to walk you through, it goes from August until July. That's available. That's the dated. If you're like, I need something right now, you can go with undated, which is the same format, all the same like great bonuses of what makes the homeschool planner awesome, except for every month is blank. So there's no numbers on your week. You can add those in so you can start at whatever month you want. And even the monthly calendars are blank and ready for you to start. So if you want to get the PDFs, they're going to be on the True North history website. The reason being is to get them on the Raising A to Z website, I'd have to pay for I've done a whole bunch of different things on the back end of my website, and including like changing hosting and all of that to a much better program, much better hosting and all of that. But to do that, to just sell the planners, it's a huge jump in price. To have like payment options available, I can have links, which is what we do with Amazon. But I can't have payment on it. But they will be available on True North history as a PDF download. So you can, if that's what you want, is to like print it off and just, put it in a binder, that's a great option too. And you can find them on True North History. I will put links to everything down in the description, but just letting you know where everything is. So cover options, because we got to do the aesthetic stuff. So I always do a black and white cover for prettiness sake. The Essential Homeschool Planner in black and white. It's got this like pretty dahlia picture on it. That is cover number 1. Cover number 2 in the dated planner, because I always do 2 for the dated, is this, which I think is kind of my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. I'm always like a colorful rainbow kind of person. So this, I'm calling it colorful stained glass. It is kind of a pretty mosaic-y, stained glassy kind of look. I love this one. It's really, it's just really fun. This is also dated. So dated, and then the undated version is only available in the kind of geometric sunset, but it is also a really cool cover, I'm not gonna lie. So those are the options of homeschool planners. If you're looking for one, I will have, like I said, links down below, but this is what we're going to be using for our planning sessions today. And because I love it so much, we're going to use the rainbow one because it's my favorite. So let's get into it. As we go through the planner, I'm going to show you exactly what's inside, because why not? So the Essential Homeschool Planner has a ton of amazing homeschooling quotes just to give you some inspiration, to help motivate you and inspire you to be an amazing homeschooler. There are quotes throughout the book, all about homeschooling, education, child development, everything you need to make you feel good and happy and motivated and comforted to know that you are not alone when it comes to homeschooling. So next we have a year at a glance. This it goes from August to July. It covers the same timeline as the book, which goes from August 1st to July 30th. And then we get into our planning review pages. These are some of my favorite things because I love being able to take some time to be very conscious and considerate and think about what worked and what didn't work and what I want to add and what I need to take away. And I think that it is very helpful to have pages dedicated to that. So let's do my planning review together. So what worked last year? So we loved The Brave Writer. That was a great hit for us. I also kind of mid-year ended up adding art with Blossom, and that has been a really great hit. Those have been 2 great curriculums that we've loved, and that's what I've been doing. Also really liked the Good and the Beautiful Science, which I think we know how much I love that. And then obviously True North History has been my other baby passion project, and we've done a few units with my kids of the ones that I made, and they love it. So those are things that are working for us. That is what we're going to do. The other thing that's worked really well for us was the morning basket. And we've been doing lots of word games, which I love. We play it like a knockoff Wordle because that's what we play. We play a knockoff Wordle. We play a 5-letter word, and we play a 6-letter word game in our morning basket time on like the iPad. As a family, me and the girls are loving it. We also do word escape, which is kind of like a crossword kind of thing where you have like set letters and you have to make all the words out of those set letters. We've been playing that. And then we also play word salad, where there's like a clue and all the words are related to the clue, and it's kind of like a crossword, like a word search, but the letters can be like, they just have to connect. We love it. It literally is one of our favorite parts of the morning right now, is like it takes us about 15 minutes to play all 4 of those. The 5-letter, the 6-letter Wordle, Wordscape, and on a really long day, if we're really slow, the word salad. But the thing that's been really interesting has been watching the language skills that develop and the things my kids have figured out playing word games and spelling games, and we're going to continue that. Things that didn't work. I was overambitious this year, and I did buy too many units, and we didn't get through all of them. Like, even by the end of the year this year, I still have a full unit that we have not finished that I purchased and was like, there's no way we're going to get through it by the end of the year. So yeah, I bought too many units. That is something to definitely pay attention to. The other thing that probably not that it didn't work. The other thing that I started doing this year, which I think was more helpful and that I'm going to do more in the future, if this makes sense. When we do our Brave Writer darts, which we love the dart series, which is where my kids are leveled at. But sometimes I would pick books based off the description. What I started doing as I was picking books for next year was I was actually going to Amazon and looking on Amazon at the age recommendation of the readers. Because sometimes I was picking a book that I was like, oh, this would be a great book to like read with my kids. And it was either super, super short. And I was like, oh, we got through it way too quick. Or it was like a little bit juvenile. And I don't say that like juvenile, but like Alexi was getting kind of like bored with it. Like it just wasn't as interesting for her. This year when I was buying books for Brave Writer, I would go to Amazon and look at like the age recommendations, because the dart has a pretty wide age range. It's like 8 to like 10 or 11. And so this year I was more cognizant of looking for books that didn't fall into like the 6 to 8-year-old readership, which was like some of the books, because my kids are getting a little bit older, and picking books that were a little more older, that were kind of falling into the like 8 to 10 or like 9 to 12 age readership. And that's just I think gonna make it more interesting and also like push their reading more, because while they loved the books, some of them I was like, this is not really a level above you guys. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Definitely looking at the book ages on Amazon a little bit more. I think that'll just really step up our literature studies next year, just to pick something maybe a little bit on the slightly more mature side of that age bracket. So what am I adding in? So actually, I'm gonna start with what I'm taking out. I'm taking out one whole unit, one less unit, because I think that's like the biggest thing that I'm taking out. We're gonna try something new. What are we adding in? Weekly art. That has been something that now that I have a curriculum for and I love it, we're going to be doing that a lot more often, definitely weekly at least. I would like to add some more writing assignments, more like writing projects. I think my kids are ready to do some writing projects. And the other thing I'm going to add in is a new schedule. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So that's what I'm doing. This is my planning review. What else do we have? Okay, the next page is long-term planning. We're gonna come back to that. I'm gonna show you some of the other features of this incredible planner first. We have reading lists. We have time blocking sheets to help you kind of figure out what your schedule is. Sometimes you just need to like see what you have and what's available. We have unit study planners. This is one of my like top favorite things, and the things that I get most positive feedback about is the unit study planner, because I think all of us love to do a unit study at least now and then. And I think all of us like to like build out a unit study. So it's not just like, okay, here's the workbook, let's do this. A lot of us are wanting to do a project, a field trip, a movie, a read aloud. Like we want to like make it more engaging, and having a unit study planner is so helpful to like put those things into place. So yeah, unit study planner, fantastic. And there's enough for like 12, I think it's 12 units a year if you wanted to do so. Other things that we have in the planner, we have field trip planners, we have budgeting pages. I say that because one of my favorite videos of this year that I got so much feedback on was when I did my like breakdown of what we spent, and people were like, we've never done that. You can actually track your budget in this planner. Curriculum lists and the kids that you're using them for, definitely want to put that in there. And then we get into like our monthly topics. So here's like your monthly review page, obviously some really cool quotes. And then we get into your monthly overview. So you can write down where you're going, what you're doing, classes that you might have, things like that. And then every single page after that is your weekly review. So you can organize this how you want. Some people I know like to put one kid per box if you have lots of kids, or like take 2 boxes per kid and put in what they're doing each day. Some people, like me, I tend to be more by subject, and I put like a subject per box, and then I do a different color or like a little A and a little Z for each kid of what's happening that day. But it's open-ended. It's so you can make it work for you. And yeah, so we go all the way through. It goes all the way until the end of July with all kinds of great, like I said, really fun quotes. And I like that. And then after this, we have attendance trackers. I don't have to track attendance in my area, but some places do. And so the attendance tracker is there as a great option for you. We also have contact information. So if you need to put in info for, your jiu-jitsu teacher or piano teacher or the co-op director, whatever, you can put it in here, as well as logins for your websites, which is super helpful when your kids have different accounts on the same website. That's confusing. Or if you are using like online curriculum, super helpful. And then there's some great note pages. I love to have extra note pages at the back. But yeah, so that's the planner. But let's get into actually planning out our year, because that's what you're here for, right? We've done the whole walkthrough. What are we planning? Okay, so this is the long-term plans. We're doing something different this year. And I think that's always interesting to talk about, because not that there's anything wrong with what we've been doing. I want to change it up a little bit. And for the past 6 years, basically, we've done the same kind of schedule for the last 6 years. But that's basically, like, we haven't really changed it up. Basically, our schedule has been 1 unit study a month, taking the summer off of unit studies and just kind of doing like maintaining work over the summer when we're home. The rest of the time, we are basically doing like a 1 unit a month kind of system. And that has worked super well up until like this year. And the reason it hasn't worked this year is now that my kids are a little bit older, we are getting into like slightly bigger topics. And we're also doing more curriculum-based unit studies. Like before, I was building a lot of stuff, and now we're not. I'm like buying the good and the beautiful and stuff because it makes my life easier. I only have so much creative juices in my brain, and doing True North history and all that, it's using my juices. I can't keep making stuff from scratch every year and every week, every month, whatever it is. So because we've been doing this, we're kind of on like the schedule of these units because they're already like divided into lessons, and they're taking us a little bit longer than a month to get through. So that has been one of the problems that we've had this year. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's still great information, but like scheduling wise, that's been a little bit difficult for us because I did not think that through originally. The other thing that has been a frustration of mine, especially over the last probably 2 years, has been the things that I want to do, I don't always have time for. So like I want to take my kids on more field trips, and I want to be able to like go to the science center, or I want to be able to like do these things and not feel guilty. Not that I have to feel guilty, but like not have the nagging of, well, we're supposed to be doing science today, and if we don't do science today, it means we're now like a whole lesson behind in the unit study, and it's going to take us an extra week. And like that's been my problem. So we haven't been doing as many field trips, as many hands-on activities as I want. And then also the kids have projects that they want to do, and I just feel like we are running out of time. So we're going to try something a little bit different this year. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Sabbath schedule. So this is not a super common homeschool schedule, but it is out there in terms of like annual planning, where people follow kind of a Sabbath schedule. So Sabbath schedules, for those who like don't know what I'm talking about, often in like Judeo-Christian faiths, you have like 6 days of work and a day of rest kind of thing. So what a lot of people on the Sabbath schedule do is they do 6 weeks of work and then they take a week off. And then they do 6 weeks of work and they take a week off. And that's kind of how they do the Sabbath schedule in terms of homeschooling. And that's great. Love that. But I'm going to obviously do a little twist on that because so we're going to do something kind of similar, but a little bit different. So instead of like being stuck to like the 6 weeks of work and then a week off, I'm going to basically like do a unit and then take a week off. And I think that'll just give us a little bit of breather in between our units to like fully like absorb what we learned. I think it's going to give us a little bit of time to do a field trip without like taking away from like the workbook time that we've been trying to do. It's also going to give the kids time to work on their projects and their independent stuff. So my kids really want to do like their Girl Guide badges. They really want to do like some projects. Alexi wants to do some more movie making. Zoe is working on like some pottery and clay and stuff like that. And like they have different projects they want to do. And I'm just finding that like by the time we do our schoolwork every morning and then we just don't have the time to do those things. And so this is going to give us those times. So we're doing something a little bit different. And I want to say, some people are like, oh my gosh, you just like think of all these things and put them in your books. I've had people, I want you to know that I do use like brainstorming sheets and stuff. This is not just like, I'm not just doing this off the top of my head. I've thought about this. I've thought about this a lot. And so I've kind of like played around with a few things. And so this is how we're going to do it. So what I did, I'll just scooch this over here, was I got, this is my fancy wood stuff. Basically, this is just some papers that have, you could do this in a notebook. You could, which is how I did it at first. And then I lost the notebook, so I just printed it off. Not gonna lie. So I have like the first Monday, the Monday of each week from the beginning of our school year all the way to kind of like the end of our school year. And so basically what I did, that was step one. So each one of these represents 1 week. And like I just put the summers here because I'm not doing summer. Anyway, each one represents a week. And then I went through and I started putting in things that I knew were going to be off. So for example, where is it? In March, we're going to take March break off. My husband's often out of town because he does a lot of like travel club with his students at his high school. So he's often out of town on March breaks. And so it's just like, the kids can sign up for camps or like we do different things over March break because it's March break. So we're going to take it off. So like that was automatically off. I put in like time off at Christmas. I took that off. I did some things and I also marked where there were holidays. So Good Friday and Easter Monday. That's always a weird week in terms of schooling wise because it's 2 4-day weeks back to back plus a big holiday in the middle. So like I have that marked down. I have like PD days for us. Not that that matters as homeschoolers, but for us, I like to sign my kids up for PD day camp, which is fantastic. And so like just marking down when they're going to have a 4-day week is super helpful. So I did that first. The next thing I did was I actually had a list. Again, I lost this notebook. So we're just going to have to go by what I have left on my rough draft pages here. And so I marked down all of the unit studies and I figured out how many lessons were in each unit study if it had lessons. So for the unit here, Kingdoms from The Good and the Beautiful, it had, I believe it was 11 lessons. So I'm like, if we do it 3 days a week, that's going to be 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 would be 11 plus a day kind of like just in case. So it's going to be about 4 weeks to get through. Okay. That was my thinking. And so I did this for every unit that I have purchased already. And this was really helpful because some of the units I was surprised are like, oh, this one's only a 7. This one is like a 15. And that makes a big difference when you're picking units. So that's one of the first things I did was kind of like go through and figure out how long reasonably it would take us to get through a unit. And then I always added a day. So like, or a week, give or take like a day. Sorry. And then I always added a day just so like, if we were sick, something happens, we have a little flexibility, you know, we want to be flexible. We don't want to be like rigid. Right. And so then I kind of figured out, okay, this one is a 4. This one's going to take 4 weeks. This one's going to take 6 weeks. This one's going to take 5 weeks. And then I started going through So once I had that list of how long these were going to take, I started kind of like putting them in and then seeing what worked where. So as you can tell, this might be a little bit difficult. I'm going to put them in here just so you can all see. But like here I had different things that I was practicing. So like I was like, oh, I could do kingdoms, or I could do kingdoms here. Oh, I can do history, or I could do this like really long geography unit. Oh, but then I had like just kind of playing around with where things could go in a way that made sense while keeping a few things in mind when I was like picking them. I always like to start the year with kind of like one of our more exciting topics, something that I think would really like hook my kids in. And then I always like to do a really exciting topic in January because we have like the post-Christmas hump to get over. And I find doing something exciting kind of gets us going. It gets us back into like the routine and stuff after Christmas break. So those are two things that I was very cognizant of when I was picking. So I kind of figured out where things went. Kind of was like, oh, I really want to do this unit here and I really want to do this one here. Okay, if those are there, what other units can I put in that are going to kind of work around the holidays that are here, the breaks that are happening, and how can I get them all kind of scheduled in to end by the end of the year? And so that's what I did. And I hope you can see there's like erase marks. There's some like different things. I tried this out for probably like an hour, just kind of playing around with the different things. I don't come up with this like off the top of my head. I'm not that smart, people. It's a lot of like trial and error. So finally I came up with this system, which I now have color coded to make my life easier. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because why not? That was a very complicated way of explaining what I'm doing, but I'm going to show you. Okay. So August is just our prep month. Just so you all know, I take August and just do my final prep. So I do my back to school shopping, get all the sales. I print anything I need to print. I actually, because we do the HP Insta Ink printing program for the month of August, I like up it really, really high and print like everything that I need. And then from there, then I just like lower it back down for the rest of the year and it saves me on printing. So I do all my printing. I get everything organized or reorganized after summer and we're ready. Okay. So first week of school. So September 1 to, what's that going to be? I was going to go by the Mondays, the weeks 1 to week 22. Because that's what I have. The first 4 weeks, so I'm going to put down as 4 weeks. 4 weeks, we're going to do kingdoms. So this is going to be our kingdoms and classifications. So this is, I think, a unit that's going to get my kids really excited. They both love animals, especially Zoe. And based on some of the other units that we're going to do, like mammals later on in the year, I kind of wanted to start with this kingdoms and classifications first, because that'll just give us some foundation for some other units. So we're going to start with that. September 29, that week will be off. Okay. Then October 6th to the week of October 27th, we are going to do a 4-week unit. And we are going to do history too. So we're going to do, this is start of, so this is the second unit in the Canadian history series that I am writing. We did history 1, which is coming to Canada, how people from all different places ended up coming to Canada in the very beginning. And then history 2 is a lot of like French, New France and British North America and all of that, of how these colonies were being formed, the conflicts between them. So that's what we're doing in October. Okay. And then the week of November 3rd, we're going to be off, which is kind of nice to come off of Halloween and have a week of downtime, especially as we're getting the sugar out of our system. And then from November 10th to December 1st, which is that first kind of week, we are going to be doing safety from the Good and the Beautiful. And that is it's like 4 weeks, but it's not quite 4 weeks. I think it's 10 lessons. So it's like a week and a day, right? So it's a short 4 weeks. But that'll bring us into December. So that's going to be at the Good and Beautiful. My kids are really excited to do the safety lessons. And I think we got to talk about safety, right? Safety is important. And it's just kind of a nice way to do that. Also, I think it'll be a nice kind of ease us into the Christmas season. And then December 8 to 15, which is 2 weeks, we're doing Christmas, which is not a unit necessarily, but we do Christmas activities. So we do Christmas games, Christmas reading, Christmas, like we do all the Christmas things, Christmas activities. That's what's happening in that week there. And then the week of December 22nd to 29th will be off. Okay. I could have gone, I was going to go like, because we're doing Christmas stuff, it's technically like one of our off weeks, but I think it'll be fine. Like, yes, we're not taking a full break week. We're just going to like jump right into Christmas stuff, but it's Christmas stuff. They love doing it. So like, I'm not worried about it. So after that, we come back January 5th to, this is going to be February 2nd, the week of February 2nd, which is going to be 5 weeks. Okay. This is when I said this starts to like get a little bit longer. 5 weeks, we are doing ancient Greece. I gave myself a little bit more time on this one because I do really want to get into depth with it and I really want to embrace it. So then for the week of February 9th, we're going to be off, which works out wonderfully because the next week is Family Day on the Monday. So we would like kind of have like a longer week off before we get back into February 16th to, February 16th, and it's going to go to March 30th. And that is going to be, how many weeks is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 weeks. All right. We're going to be doing Canadian geography from my unit. We're going to do Canadian geography from True North History. Here's a couple things that are interesting because we're also going to take time off, like March break is in here. In this 7-week block, we have March break. So we are going to take the March break off, even though it's like in that like 7-week schedule. And I don't it wouldn't normally take us 7 weeks. Like, yes, it has 20 lessons in it, but a lot of those lessons are quite short, especially like the provinces, like that's a 1-page lesson. It's not a super in-depth lesson. If we're all healthy, which is the key point in my February, March plans, because that never happens. If we were all like healthy, it would take us probably like 5 weeks to get through it, realistically, because like 13 of those lessons can be done 2 at a time. So that's 6 days. That's only 2 weeks instead of spread out. But because we always get sick in February, March-ish, guaranteed, it gives me a little bit more wiggle room to do that. So I did put the longer unit over that span to kind of like give me some flexibility with everyone being sick. So that's what we're going to do then. Then that brings us right up to April 6th, which, if you're doing any math here with me, April 6th is going to be our off week. That's also Easter, Easter weekend. So basically we're going to go right up until Good Friday of that week and then have like a super long week off. We're going to go to the Thursday, take Good Friday, and Easter and Easter Monday, which my kids sing in a church choir. So like they're going to be busy all weekend, and then we're going to take a whole week off and do things we want to do. Yeah. Then, so that brings us back April 13th to May 11th. That's going to be our next unit, and we're going to be doing mammals. Because that's what we're going to do. I picked mammals for this unit. I put it later in the year because often I find we struggle with once the weather starts to get nice. Like April's hard because the weather is getting warmer, but there's like no snow and everything's muddy and it rains a lot, even though it's nicer and warmer out. So we're kind of bummed out a little bit in April because we want to be outside, but we can't. So I figured put something fun, which I know my kids will love, mammals. So we put that in there. And then that kind of leads us really nicely into our next unit, which is going to be weather. So May 18th we have off. And then May 25. Oh, I forgot to say this is a 5-weeker. And then May 25 to June 22nd. It's also 5 weeks. Is weather. Weather and water systems is what it's called. The unit that we're doing. And so this brings us to the last day, last week. It should be June 22nd, the week of, which does give me an extra week to play with of June, the week of June 29th. So it does technically give me an extra week before we get into summer break or summer schedule because we don't really take a break. So yeah, that's what we're doing next year. Is it a little more complicated than normal? Possibly. Is it trying something new? Definitely. Do I have high hopes for it? 100%. Could it crash and fail? Yes. But we will never know until we try. I think it's going to give us a little bit more breathing room, like I said, throughout the year. And I think it's going to kind of force us to stay on task a little bit more because we're going to be like able to be like focus, and then take a break. Focus, and then take a break. And I think that'll be really helpful for us. So that's my whole plan for next year. It does feel like a lot. It's actually one less unit than I did last year, this year. Well, it's the same number of units I did this year, considering I didn't get everything through this year. Actually, we were going to do kingdoms and classifications, and we never finished it. So it works out that we start with that. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan for 2025, 2026. I'm excited. I think my kids are going to be excited. I asked them about it, and they were really kind of excited about trying this new schedule. And so we're going to see how it works. And I will definitely check it back in with you if it's working well. I will do a more detailed video, because I know you guys love them, of like planning out a whole month, planning out a unit, how I'm going to make it work. I will do that a little bit closer to actually having to plan those units out. But I'm excited. We're going to have a great 2025, 2026. We just got to wrap up 2024, 2025 right now and get ready to have a little bit more of a chill summer. But yeah, we still got a few things to do before the end of the year. I got one more unit. We're doing the human body next, but I'm excited. It's going to be a great year. I'm very excited. So that's all I got for today. I'm going to have some other great videos coming out next week. You'll definitely want to check out. We're going to be hatching some chicks. Super fun. But if you guys want to pick up your own Essential Homeschool Planner, all the links are down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed and click the bell for notifications to find out when all the cool videos are coming. Definitely want to make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You could also follow us on True North History, where, you know, I put out when we have like cool sales and new product releases, that kind of stuff. But other than that, I hope this has inspired you to possibly tackle planning an annual plan. And I hope that maybe you guys decide to try something new next year. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.